All right, once we've identified that there's some type of problem with our roses, one of the most helpful things you can do is take a soil test. I have a lot of experience with doing this over the last 2 years. I'm really lucky in North Carolina, it is actually free for soil testing between April and November. Their peak is in the late fall through the winter because that's when the farmers are doing it. Your state may vary, but contact your local agricultural agency. Sometimes they charge, sometimes they don't. Mine happens to be up in Raleigh, so the only cost to me would be if I ship it up there. But I usually do so many of these boxes that I usually just drive it up there and use it as an excuse to stop by one of my favorite fertilizer stores in Smithfield, Core Farm Supply. So anywho, this is what the box looks like. I'll kind of show you how we put the dirt in and the soil and talk about the testing a little bit. I have done these rapid test kits just when I've been in a pinch. They're not awful. They can give you a ballpark figure. It's probably a little hard to see on this, but with the pH test, what you do is you take a amount of soil and you fill it up to where it says fill with soil. Then you fill it up with distilled water and you break a capsule in there and you let it kind of sit. This is showing between slight acidic and neutral, so 6.5 to 7, which that could be right, but I want to be a little bit more specific. For the first time I did potassium, phosphorus, and nitrogen test with these. Again, I'm not sure how accurate they are. With that type of test, you actually take a larger volume of soil and you mix in distilled water and you let that set. And you can see my sandy soil. It's kind of cool to see the different layers shake out. But then you siphon off that water. It's distilled, but it's been mixed with the dirt. And then you fill it, the liquid, and then you look at your colors. Again, depending on the test kit, it'll be purple, in this case nitrogen. So you break open one of these purple capsules. You put it on that water that you siphoned off and you compare the colors. It's showing that nitrogen and potassium are low. That's not a huge surprise. We've had a lot of rain, so the nitrogen probably did wash away. My soil usually tests low for potassium, so that's not a surprise. The thing I'm not sure about, phosphorus, it shows it adequate to maybe a little deficient. And any test I've done before, it's been off the charts high. So again, these kits maybe get you in the ballpark, especially for pH. If you're extremely acidic or extremely alkaline, it would probably show that. But if you want something more specific, I suggest a professional test. You can get these online, but again, check with your local state first to see if you have a program in your state that might be reduced or even free, as we have here in North Carolina. On the box, you're going to have to write down your sample ID. So I just created some IDs. And then you give it a code. Code 28 here for these are roses. So I'm doing 6 samples for my 6 rose beds. And then on this other page, sample 7, that is also going to be rose because I have 7 beds. And you'll notice these other codes, 32, 20, and 22. Since I'm already making the trip up to Raleigh, I'm going to test 22, which is my centipede lawn. I'm going to test 20. I have some azaleas, and I just planted some blueberries, so that will be code 30. So again, you fill out this form. You'll have your name and address on there. You certainly want your codes to match what you have. So in this case, my sample ID 11116. They'll look at the sheet and they'll know that I'm testing 28. That's code 28 is roses. Same thing over here, 11119. They'll look at the sheet I fill out, and that corresponds to testing for lawn and garden code number 20, which tells them I want to know about azaleas. The reason why that's important, they're going to give you specifications, not on nitrogen, but potassium, phosphorus, pH, the percent organic matter in your soil, just a lot of great information. And then they're going to give you recommendations, and those recommendations are based on the code you put in. So if you're trying to grow centipede lawn, you want a pH of 5.5, but if you're trying to grow roses, you want a slight acidic soil, but you want it more up in the 6.3 to 6.5 range. So that's really, really important. So this step, before you go out in the garden, get your boxes if you have them for your state, or collect your samples. There's usually detailed instructions how to collect. North Carolina does an excellent job. So they talk about using the boxes, try to get to a 4-inch depth, especially for something like lawns, and then for roses, probably more 6-inch. I'll show in the garden how I collect samples. I don't have a core. I can't do a sampled core yet because I don't have that instrument, but I'll show you what I do for now. But yeah, you'll box up the soil in these boxes and then either mail them off to the ag agency or the private company that is doing it. In my case, I'm going to drive them up, and then I'll show you the results of the test here. Usually takes about 2 weeks, so hopefully we get some answers from that. In the past, my pH has been between 5.7 and 6.5, and I've got a bad feeling that I accidentally put too much lime down, and we're a little alkaline for the roses' liking. But the only way to find that out, again, is to do a soil test. So do you soil test? How do you do it? Comment below. I appreciate any of the feedback. Hope you enjoyed this video on taking the soil test, how you can do it. And it's just a wealth of knowledge. Usually should do it in the fall because it won't be as influenced by any recent fertilization. I haven't done fertilization in a while, so plus I have an issue, so I need to do it now. But at least once a year, good to check your pH. And the advantage of doing it in the fall, if you do have to make a correction, you won't make the mistake I'm making, which is doing too much at once. You can kind of put the lime down if you're trying to raise the pH, or sulfur down if you're trying to lower it, and then you can let it percolate and sit through the rest of the fall and winter instead of trying to adjust it too quickly, which unfortunately I think is what happened in my case. As always, please subscribe and share with friends, comment below. Appreciate you for subscribing to the channel.